This is Petvet SD, expert advice for pet owners everywhere. Only on Fox 5 KUSI Now.
Welcome to Petvet San Diego.
Today we're talking about holiday pet safety with Dr. Jatain Sandhi, the owner and medical director of the Rancho Bernardo Pet Hospital. Welcome. Did I get your name close? Was it close?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll take close. So tell us first a little bit of your background. You've now been in Rancho Bernardo for several years now.
Yes. So we moved to Rancho Bernardo about 15 years ago from Buffalo, New York. I bought this practice, Rancho Bernardo Pet Hospital, about 8 years ago. So we were at a different location, and we just moved to a new location across the street from our previous old location, and we are now at a far more beautiful and brand new facility, serving the community of Rancho Bernardo, Poway, Carmel Valley, Escondido, and a few other communities around us.
And tell us a little bit of your background. What made you want to get into animal care?
Yeah, so when I was a child, I used to have a dog. His name was Jimmy. He inspired me to become a veterinarian. I was the only child of my parents, so my dog was my sibling, my brother, sister, my friend. So we spent almost 14 years together. And during that time, I decided that veterinary medicine is something I really enjoy because it's fun to solve the problems of the patients who can't speak for themselves.
Yeah.
So that is what inspired me to apply for the vet program. So I became a veterinarian from a vet school in India. Then I moved in 1999 to Canada as a graduate student. And then I did my credentials and I started working as a vet in the Seattle area in Washington State in 2002. Oh. So I've been working as a general practitioner for the last 23 years. I have worked in various cities. I worked in New York City in a 24-hour care facility for 3 years. Then I was working in Buffalo, New York. I was managing a 10-doctor practice there for a corporate group called as NVA. We did that for 7 years. Then we chose to move to San Diego because of the sunlight and the sunshine.
Yes.
And then I was managing a practice here named Lifetime Animal Care Center for 3 years. And then I got an opportunity to buy a practice very close to where I live in my own community of Rancho Bernardo. So I got latched onto that opportunity and became a practice owner in 2015.
What a dream come true, and what a wonderful story. And so we want to get into, obviously, the holidays.
Yes.
That means you want to make sure that you're keeping your pets safe and making some really good decisions. So obviously, I think a lot of times, whether, any kind of family gathering, means that sometimes your animal could get some food that maybe they're not supposed to get. Right. Tell me some things that people need to be aware of.
So, holidays is a very fun time for families, and it's also a fun time for pets because they want to celebrate with their families. But there are many dishes and there are many ornaments and decorations we have in our homes, which could be a little unsafe for the pets. So starting with foods, anything which is rich in fat, like turkey skin, turkey bones, they shouldn't be given to pets because the bones can splinter and that can lead to intestinal obstructions. If you feed foods which are rich in fat, like skin drippings, they can cause upset stomach. Pancreatitis is very commonly seen in dogs, which is from eating highly rich and fatty foods. Then we shouldn't give them any dishes which have onions, garlic or chives. They can lead to vomiting. They can also lead to anemia in animals. We should also not feed grapes or raisins. They're highly toxic to dogs. They can lead to kidney failure. So we have to take precautions, during the holidays. Among the desserts, chocolate should not be given to dogs. We should also not give them anything which contains artificial ingredient xylitol because many sugar-free candies have xylitol, and these can lead to kidney failure. So we just have to be careful with what we feed to our dogs. But there are many things which we can feed to our animals, like we can give them a piece of the turkey breast that is safe. We can also give them a small amount of pumpkin puree that is perfectly fine as well. We can also give them some small potato bites. That's fine. You can also find holiday cookies which are safe for pets. Right? So there are many things which can offer them as well, but please be careful about what you're eating and don't give them anything from your plate.
Yeah, bad habits.
Yes.
Bad habits, because
Definitely.
then you've got a beggar on your hands.
Yes.
And then that's a whole other issue.
One more thing to deal with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, One question I have is if you do notice that your dog is acting a little strange and you think that maybe by accident they did ingest something, what's the best course of action? What do you recommend? Because I think a lot of pet owners have had that happen. Especially, I mean, I've got a busy household with kids and everything going on, and it's like, wait a minute, how did the dog get a hold of that?
Yeah, so if you see any symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, please call your vet and get the further directions from them how to proceed. Right? Most of the veterinarians will be willing to give you advice. Many of these ingestions, they are very minor. It may lead to one vomit. So if you watch your dog, give them some water, give them some ice cubes to lick, most of the time these problems will go away. But if some patient is vomiting 4 or 5 times a day, then that patient needs to be seen by a veterinarian. Mm-hmm. So please contact your veterinarian if you see something which sounds or looks abnormal. Yeah. Okay? Another thing to keep in mind during holidays is, decorations. Right? Pets, they're very curious, especially puppies and kittens. So cats, they have a fascination for ribbons, tinsels. Mm-hmm. So if they're playing with them and they end up swallowing them, that can lead to intestinal obstruction and they might require a surgery. Right? So be very careful with that. Make sure that all the electrical cords are properly secured because puppies, they have a fascination, and if they chew on them, they can get electrocuted, right? Even the benign-looking Christmas tree water could sometimes be toxic for animals, especially if it has, preservatives or sap in it. So be careful around that as well. So it's very important that, we put ornaments higher up on the tree so that our patients don't end up swallowing them.
Yeah.
And you've given so many great tips, but with all of these major holidays coming up as we end the year, what are some of the most common things you see coming into your practice with issues with animals? Is it more so dogs ingesting things, cats getting a hold of decorations?
Right. Definitely dogs get sicker and get seen more often than cats, right? The most common thing we are going to see is after Thanksgiving is vomiting and diarrhea. Because when dogs are celebrating the Thanksgiving dinners with their families, they're going to get into table food, and that leads to an upset stomach.
Yeah, so eat more than maybe usual, right?
Yes, that is correct. And eat richer foods, right? Yeah. So many times we will see pancreatitis in the dogs the very next day after Thanksgiving. So our teams are ready that today we're going to get a lot of calls about vomiting and diarrhea. So those are the most common symptoms we see. Around Christmas, we many times see cats coming in with a history of vomiting 4, 5, 6 times in the last 24 hours. And many times some of them have swallowed ribbon or a tinsel. Sometimes they can also get into a dental floss. So that is another thing we see very commonly unrelated to holidays. Wow. Because cats have fascination for strings. Yeah. They love to play with those, and many times they end up eating those.
Right. Find the safe version.
Yes.
Now, in addition, I mean, we've talked about, foods, decorations, but it means that a lot more people are going to be around and in your house. So if you already have a pet that maybe is a little anxious, what are some tips that you give people to help keep them calm and keep them feeling good in environments that are ever changing?
Yeah, so during holidays we have a lot of guests who are coming in and out of the house. So one of the very common things which happen is sometimes pet can escape if somebody left the door open. Mm-hmm. So you have to be cautious about that. Second thing is, if you know your dog is anxious around guests or around strangers, you can have him in a safe, secure room inside the house with his own bed, toys, and water. You can also play some calming music. You can also use pheromones, if you choose to, and that should help your dog stay calm.
Yeah, maybe put on, what do you call it, doggy TV or what have you for them too?
Or calming music. There are many channels available now which play dog calming music. In our practice, we have a channel called as Dog TV. So we have that on TVs for our clients and their pets when they come in. Yeah. So there are a lot of options out there these days.
And with Christmas coming up, I know one of the big things that people love to do is buy a pet without asking someone and give it as a gift. Yes. What are your thoughts on that?
Like before you get a pet, you have to do your homework. You need to look at what kind of pet would make the most sense in your household, right? Like for example, if somebody has a very small apartment they're living in, then maybe getting a 120, 130, 150 pound dog may not be the right choice for that family. So as a potential pet owner, if you are thinking of getting a pet, make sure you do your homework. People ask me all the time, what kind of dog should I get? So I always tell them, what size dog do you want?
Right.
Do you want a 10-pound dog? Do you want a 30-pound dog? Do you want a 60-pound dog? Do you want a 90-pound dog? Because once you have an idea about the size, then we can look at various breeds around that size, which could be a good match for you.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Because that's what it really comes down to is first, what size is going to work for your family?
That is correct.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, we see so often all of the shelters are impacted locally.
Yes.
So it is really important if you're giving a pet as a gift, you know, you don't want that dog or that cat to end up going to a shelter or back into a shelter when we're already seeing our system impacted so much here in San Diego.
Definitely, and it's very hard, you know, if you get a pet and somehow that pet may not be the right choice for your family, then you have to work with that pet, train them, you know, get them through obedience training, work with trainers, you know, do a lot of positive reinforcement and give them every chance so that they can become part of the family and can adapt to your needs in the household.
It takes time.
It takes time.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Yes.
And obviously, you know, a lot of people will also be traveling with their pets, whether that's a car ride, an airplane ride. Do you have any suggestions for people who are doing that?
Yeah, you know, like when we are traveling, the first thing we have to make sure is that our pets are properly tagged and their microchips are registered to the current address. Because if during travel a pet escapes, that is the only way the pet will found you guys back, you know, as their owners. Second thing is you need to make sure that you have all the medical records with you so that if during your travel there's an emergency, at least you have all the access and information to provide to the new veterinary clinic who will be providing the medical care to your pet. The third thing is if your pet gets nervous during the car rides, you can also call your veterinarian and ask him to prescribe you some sedatives to give to the dog 2 or 3 hours before starting the travel, or even to a cat, so that they can be calm during the car rides. And then make sure all their vaccinations are up to date, because when we're traveling, they're getting exposed to different environments, which can increase the risk of them getting something contagious from some other animals in that environment. So it's very important that they're up to date on their vaccinations. So you can call your veterinary clinics and make sure that they're not overdue on any vaccinations before you start your travel.
Well, that's and something that like I didn't think about. Even if you have maybe a friend who's staying at your house,
Yes.
because you're going out of town with your pet,
Yeah.
you should leave them all of that information. You should make sure that they have everything that they need in order to assist if your pet does need some medical assistance.
Oh, definitely. You know, whoever is taking care of your pet, you need to tell that person who's your regular veterinarian and who to call if they have any questions or concerns regarding that pet while you're gone in your absence. And it makes it very easy. And you can also give some instructions to your veterinary medical team as well. Like in my office, there are many pets who have chronic medical needs. So clients call our office and tell us that this person will be taking care of my pet. So he has permission to make medical decisions for my pet in my absence. So when you're traveling internationally, it makes it very easy for medical teams to provide the necessary care if the owners are unable to be, you know, assessed, because we already have in the medical file who will be bringing the pet in or calling us on behalf of that pet. So that's very useful tactic to, you know, follow so that your pet gets all the adequate medical care in your absence.
Definitely. And with Christmas coming up,
Yes.
we talked about giving pets as gifts, but what gifts are good for pets?
So, you know, anything like chew toys are good, right? I normally recommend that make sure that the toy has some flex in it, because if you give something really hard, the dogs can crack their teeth. Finding, if you want to give treats to your animals, then you need to find that treats which are safe for pets. So there are many treats and toys which are available in pet stores, which is who are kind of who have you know, pet safe feature on them. So that makes it a nice gift. You can also get some, you know, warm blankets and jackets for your animals, because we are getting into the cold season, so it will help them keep warm. If your dog really likes toys, getting him some toys, especially the toys where you can fetch a ball or something, so that also gives him something to do while you're playing with him. So burning that extra energy during the playtime would also be helpful. But there are a lot of options these days. Like right now, the sky is the limit. The pet toy market, the pet gift market has exploded. You think of something and this is something out there for your animal, which you can definitely get for them. It's a booming business for pets. People love to spoil their dogs and cats.
Well, and interesting, you talked about as we head into the winter months, you know, and a lot of people, if you are traveling with your pet and you're traveling to a cooler environment, I mean, our pets here are used to very nice weather on a regular basis. Well, if you're taking your pet up to the snow, that's going to be a really drastic change in environment for them.
Definitely, definitely. And it takes a few hours for the pet to get acclimatized to the cold conditions, especially if there's a snow on the ground. And you have to be a little careful that the pet does not end up slipping and hurting itself.
Yeah.
So you have to, carefully watch your animal and have him on a leash, especially if he's going to go in the snow in the beginning. And make sure there's no icy conditions where your pet can slip and can end up hurting his leg or knee.
Yeah.
And what would you recommend kind of for different climates in terms of a jacket? Like, we think pets, they have fur.
Yes.
But I mean, I had a lab and she was just very skinny and we had to get her a jacket. So if you're headed to maybe a snowy environment, would you recommend any kind of gear for larger dogs, or is that really just for tiny dogs?
I would say that most of the time the gear is required for tiny dogs, right? But if you have a large dog, like a shepherd dog, right? So they have a thick coat, so they're probably okay. But if you have a tiny dog, like a Maltese, Shih Tzu, Chihuahua, right? And if it is cold for you, it's cold for your dog too.
Yeah.
So make sure you get a jacket for the dog or keep him somehow warm, because these small dogs, they are very susceptible to low temperatures, and that can make them sick as well.
Very, very good information. And of course, a lot of these pets, during the holidays, you might also be putting them in a new, different environment if you are traveling with them. So what are your recommendations to try to help them acclimate to a new, different environment fairly quickly?
Yes. So basically, you have to make sure that, you have researched the boarding place where you're planning to take your dog, right? Make sure they have ample space for exercising your dog while he's going to stay there, right? And then ask your friends how their experiences have been with the boarding kennels and which one they recommend. And then you find the place and you try them out, and and then if you like them, you can continue using them for your future trips as well.
Yeah, but it definitely takes a little bit of an adjustment time, and a lot of times that's happening for the first time when you're leaving town. I also wanted to say, with our dog, I find that, a lot of times during the holidays, you become so busy that sometimes, it's like, oh my gosh, we forgot to do that walk. What do you say in order to, you kind of mentioned making sure that you're throwing the ball with your dog, making sure that you're getting them still ample exercise and ample time for them, even during this busy season.
Yeah, I normally recommend that you should develop, a habit where you just walk your dog minimum 2 times a day and go for a 20-30 minute walk. And it's good for you as well, because you're also getting your exercise and your steps. And dogs, their owners are their whole world. They are eagerly looking for that one walk, with their owner, because when they're walking with their owners, respective owners, they feel on top of the world. There's a recent research which just came up like a couple of months ago, where the scientists, they said, we are assuming on strong evidence that when dogs are sleeping, most of the time they're dreaming about their owners and spending time with their owners.
Aww.
So that was a very, very interesting study, right? Like that is, so for dogs, their owners are their whole world.
So when you see your dog and they're thinking that they're running in the park, it's probably that they're running in the park with you?
Yes, definitely.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Definitely, right? So this is a very powerful research. So for a dog, getting a walk with their owners every day is such a fun time. So make a habit that no matter how busy you are, you're going to exercise, start your exercise with walking your dog. That's what I recommend. So that's what I do myself for my dog. We do, and I look forward to those 30 minutes, walk in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. And that really helps us bond as well. And plus, it's good for both you and your animal.
Now, one other question I had, a lot of times we see a lot of people dress up their dogs.
Yes.
What do you need to be aware of if you are making that decision? And some dogs like it, some dogs don't. So kind of don't push the issue, I would imagine.
I strongly agree. We should be careful about how your dog is perceiving that dress. And you have to be careful that you don't put the strings too tight. My recommendation is that you should be able to slide 2 fingers under the collar. And if you're unable to slide 2 fingers, then it's probably too tight. So you have to loosen the collar or loosen the dress a little bit so that they're not feeling choked while being decorated. But every dog's temperament is different, right? So you have to assess the temperament of your dog and see if he's really liking the dress or not. If you make a dog wear a dress and he's trying to shake it off constantly, then probably it's not a good idea for that dog. But then there are many dogs, who are fine, and for those dogs, you can dress them as much as you want to your liking.
And after Thanksgiving, Christmas, then we have New Year's Eve, which I'm always doing a dog story the next day about how many dogs have run away, gone missing, fireworks. How can you try to keep them contained or find them if they do run away?
Yeah. So, like if your dog is scared of loud sounds, so the first thing you should do is call your vet and ask him to give you some sedative so that you can give it to him before the fireworks are going to happen in your neighborhood. So giving a sedative 2 to 3 hours before the expected event of loud noise would really help your dog stay calm. Second thing you can do is you can have your dog confined in a small, comfortable room and have the music on or TV on, so that sound can somehow swallow the loud noises which are happening outside. So those would be my main recommendations, for the New Year's Eve. And then make sure that you're not giving any rich foods as a part of your celebrations if you're having a New Year's party at your place. But just assessing the anxiety level of your dog or a cat, and based on your past experiences with them, you make a determination whether they need a sedative or not. For any day like New Year's or even 4th of July, when there are a lot of fireworks. So we get a lot of calls from clients when they're asking for sedatives. So sedatives help a lot for a lot of animals.
And if they can't get their hands on a sedative in time, or maybe the fireworks start going off, people start testing them hours before sometimes and say the pet is just in distress. How do you calm them down if they're already in that state of heightened anxiety?
So, you should sit with them, you should pet them, you should talk to them in a soft voice. You should distract them with treats. You can also try to feed them their favorite meal. So food is a great motivator, food is a great distractor for many animals. But spending time with them, talking to them in a soft voice, keeping the doors, rooms, and windows shut so that we can block some of the noise are the ways to keep them calm.
What is the limit for treats? Our dog is very food motivated. Don't laugh, it's okay.
Yes.
And so I find a lot of time, she is going to tell, the second the kids go to bed, she is howling at me, it's my time, I want my treats.
Right.
How do you kind of gauge what is the appropriate amount for your pet?
So basically, the way we gauge is that we first of all determine for that dog, for his weight, what is the ideal calories he should be eating in a day. And then 5 to 10% of those calories could come from the treats. For dogs, generally, the size of the treat does not matter. It is a gesture of getting a treat, which is far more important. And that helps the pet owners with positive reinforcement as well. So I always tell my clients that don't focus on giving him a big, large treat. You can break one treat into really small portions and give him those portions at different times as a positive reinforcement, as a reward for good behavior. So that way you're not overdoing the calories and leading to the problem of obesity, which a lot of our animals are facing these days.
Yeah. So I need to be looking at the back of the treat bag and see how much the calories are.
Yes, and you should also be looking at a food bag. And then ask the vet, based on his weight, how many calories he should be eating per day. So you subtract the calories of the treats first, and then whatever calories are left, you feed your dog from the dry food or the wet food, whichever you're feeding him.
Well, she definitely likes the treats more than the regular food. So.
Of course, but you can break the treats into small pieces. And use those small pieces, so that way you're still giving the dog 1 or 2 treats per day, but she's getting them like 20 times a day.
Right, and if she's getting any Thanksgiving acceptable treats, she's not going to get any of the other treats.
Definitely, like we have to stay within our calories, for the patient per day. That's what I recommend. But if you overdo a little bit, you can always burn it off with extra walks, long walks, hiking trips, right?
There we go.
Yes.
Great recommendations. Dr. Sandhi, thank you so much for coming in, sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Tips.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
All right, well, that's it for this edition of Petvet SD. Stay tuned for more great shows right here on the Fox 5 KUSI Now app.
All right, make sure you stay tuned for even more digital exclusive shows on the Fox 5 KUSI Now app. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.